There's something doctors rarely say out loud. Something that never makes it into medical reports or annual checkups. It's not written in prescriptions, and it's not covered by insurance. But it quietly determines how long a senior truly lives after 70. It's not just blood pressure, not just cholesterol, not even memory loss. It's loneliness, and the silent effects of living alone. Doctors know it. They see it every day in hospital wards and nursing homes. But most never talk about it because the truth is too heavy. You see, when a person turns 70, something changes. Their phone rings less. The visits become fewer. The laughter in the house fades slowly, replaced by quiet routines and television voices. First it feels peaceful, finally some time alone. But as the months pass, silence becomes something else. Becomes weight. A weight that presses on the heart, even when the body looks fine. Meet Evelyn, 74. She lives alone in a small white cottage at the end of a quiet street. Every morning she brews 1 cup of tea, just one. She waters her flowers. She feeds the birds. She smiles at the mirror and whispers, "Another day, thank you, Lord." But when night falls, the house feels too big. The silence too deep. And Evelyn's mind travels through memories. Her husband's laughter, her children's small feet running down the hall. She tries to sleep early, but the clock keeps reminding her. She's alone. Doctors would say she's healthy for her age. Her blood work is normal. Her heart rate is steady. But what the tests don't reveal is the ache of loneliness eating slowly at her energy, her joy, and her will to keep going. Many seniors never tell their doctors how they really feel. They say, "I'm fine." They smile politely during checkups. But once they return home, the loneliness returns too, heavier than before. Science shows that chronic loneliness can increase the risk of death by 26%. That's higher than obesity, higher than physical inactivity. It affects the immune system, the heart, even the brain. But there's another truth doctors rarely mention. Loneliness mimics illness. Can make the heart race like anxiety. Can cause fatigue, forgetfulness, and body pains. Sometimes patients are treated for diseases they don't have, when what they truly need is human connection. Let me tell you about Mr. Harris, age 79. He lost his wife 10 years ago. His children live in different states. He spends most days watching old baseball games on TV. One afternoon, he fainted in his kitchen. When doctors examined him, every test came back normal. But the nurse who stayed by his bed noticed something. He kept saying, "I just wish someone would call." She held his hand for a few minutes. He smiled, the first genuine smile in months. And his blood pressure improved. That's what connection does. That's what no prescription can replace. The truth is, doctors are trained to treat symptoms. But loneliness isn't a disease. It's a silent condition of the soul. And after 70, when the body begins to slow down, what truly sustains life isn't just medicine, it's meaning. The question isn't just how long you live, it's why you live. You see, the human heart is wired for companionship. From the moment we're born, we crave connection. Eye contact, a hand to hold, someone who listens. That need never fades, even in our 70s, 80s, or 90s. But when seniors live alone, that part of the brain responsible for emotional warmth, the same part that lights up when we hug someone, begins to dim. The brain interprets isolation as danger. It triggers the same stress hormones that appear in fear or physical pain. That's why some seniors who live alone often look older than their age. Their faces show the silent battle inside, the fight to stay strong, to stay hopeful, even when nobody is watching. So what don't doctors tell you? They don't tell you that loneliness can weaken the heart more than cholesterol ever could. They don't tell you that missing conversation is as harmful as missing medication. And they don't tell you that the best medicine after 70 is love, presence, and purpose. 'Cause those aren't things you can prescribe. Evelyn decided to change one thing. Every morning, instead of sitting quietly with her tea, she started walking to the park nearby. At first, she didn't speak to anyone. She just watched the laughter of children, the chatter of neighbors, the old couple walking hand in hand. Then one morning she brought cookies, offered them to a young mother sitting on a bench. That small act led to a conversation, then a friendship. Weeks later, Evelyn found herself smiling again, not because her health improved, but because her heart did. Doctors can't measure joy. They can't chart hope. But when seniors reconnect, even through the smallest daily habits, the body begins to heal from the inside out. Social connection lowers blood pressure, strengthens memory. It even reduces the risk of dementia. So if you're living alone after 70, remember this. It's not weakness to reach out. It's wisdom. No one should spend their final years in quiet suffering. God never designed life that way. Even in old age, you're meant to shine, to share, to be seen. You've lost someone if the house feels empty. Don't hide behind those walls forever. Call a neighbor. Join a small group. Smile at the grocery store clerk. Write a letter. Volunteer. Because each connection is a heartbeat added to your years. And if you ever feel forgotten, remember this truth. You're not invisible. You're not finished. You're still needed. You're still loved. When you live alone after 70, something subtle begins to happen. Not overnight, but slowly, like a dimming light. You start to move a little slower. You talk to yourself more often. You eat simpler meals because why cook for one? Doctors will tell you to take your vitamins, exercise 30 minutes a day, drink more water. And yes, that's important. But they won't tell you that your soul also needs nourishment. And loneliness, when ignored too long, starves the soul. There's a woman named Mrs. Florence, age 82. A retired teacher who once inspired generations of children. But now her days are quiet. She wakes up to the sound of the clock ticking in her living room. The same clock her husband gave her on their 25th anniversary. She makes her coffee, reads the newspaper, waters her plants, and sometimes she sits by the window and watches people walk by. She smiles at them, but most don't notice. She's become invisible to the world around her. One day, during her checkup, her doctor asked, "How are you feeling, Mrs. Florence?" She smiled politely. "I'm fine, doctor." But what she wanted to say was, "I'm tired of the silence. I miss hearing my name spoken by someone who cares. I'm not sick, but I'm not okay either." That's what many seniors can't say out loud. Because society has made loneliness something to be ashamed of. But here's the truth. Loneliness is not weakness. It's humanity. We were never created to live without connection. Even God, in the beginning, looked at Adam and said, "It is not good for man to be alone." That need for companionship never fades with age. It only becomes quieter and easier to hide. Doctors treat loneliness with pills for anxiety, medication for sleep, or therapy sessions. But what the human heart truly needs is presence. Someone to listen, someone to care. Let's talk about what happens when the heart goes too long without companionship. Studies reveal that living alone after 70 can accelerate aging in the brain. Memory begins to slip faster. The immune system weakens. Even balance and coordination start to decline. Why? Because connection stimulates purpose. And purpose keeps the body alive. When there's someone to call, a reason to wake up, a conversation to look forward to, the brain releases dopamine and oxytocin, chemicals that heal. But when there's no one, the brain produces cortisol, the stress hormone that damages both body and mind. So you see, loneliness isn't just emotional pain. It's biological stress. And it's stealing years from too many seniors in silence. Doctors won't tell you that the most powerful medicine may not come from a pharmacy, but from a conversation. Warm hug, shared meal, kind word. Those simple human moments trigger healing in ways no prescription ever could. Meet Clara, 76. She lost her husband 5 years ago. After his passing, she stopped attending church, stopped gardening, stopped talking to her neighbors. Her doctor said she was in good shape for her age. But deep down, she felt like her heart was shrinking. Then one Sunday, she decided to visit her old church again. The moment she stepped inside, the sound of singing surrounded her like sunlight. Someone hugged her and said, "We've missed you, Clara." Tears filled her eyes. That one sentence melted 5 years of silence. That day she felt alive again. Connection revives the soul. It awakens something sacred inside every human being. And maybe that's what doctors should prescribe. 2 doses of kindness daily. Walk outside and talk to one person. Share a meal, not just medicine. Because isolation after 70 isn't just a condition. It's a crisis. And yet, it can be reversed. With love. If you're watching this, maybe you know someone like Clara. Maybe it's your mother, your grandfather, or even you. And you might be wondering, how do I fix it? How do I fill that quiet space in my home? Start small. Open the curtains in the morning. Play your favorite music. Join a club, a small group, a volunteer center. Even smiling at a stranger counts, because it opens your spirit again. And if you're a family member watching this, please listen carefully. Your calls matter more than you think. When you call your mother or grandfather, you're not just passing time. You're extending their life. A 5-minute conversation can do what medicine cannot. It tells them, you are still needed. That's the truth doctors don't write in medical charts. After 70, living alone can either become a prison or a season of peace and purpose. The difference lies in one thing: connection. Doctors can't prescribe it, but we can choose it. Loneliness is not destiny, just a season, and seasons change. You can rebuild your joy. You can rediscover meaning. You can find new friends, new laughter, even at 80, 90, or beyond. Because life doesn't stop when you're old. It only becomes quieter, waiting for you to speak life into it again. So if you're a senior living alone, remember this. Doctors may heal your body, but only you and the people around you can heal your soul. Call someone, join something, reach out, and never ever believe the lie that you're forgotten. God still sees you, He still loves you, and you still have purpose. You know, when people say, she's strong, she's managing just fine, they often mean she's surviving, not living. There's a difference. Surviving is waking up, doing what you must, and waiting for the day to end. Living is waking up with a reason, a spark, a purpose, even if it's small. And here's the truth most doctors never say. When you live alone after 70, that spark begins to fade unless you protect it intentionally. Let's meet Eleanor, 78. Once a nurse, a mother, and a choir singer. Her husband passed away 7 years ago, and her 2 kids live in different states. She tells people she's fine, but her days blend together. Breakfast, medication, TV reruns, a nap in the afternoon. Then one day, she found an old photo album. Her hands trembled as she flipped through pages filled with faces. Weddings, birthdays, Christmas mornings. Each photo whispered a story. You lived. You laughed. You belonged. That night, Eleanor made a promise to herself. She said, I may be old, but I'm not done living. The next morning, she did something small but powerful. She walked to the park. At first, she just sat quietly, watching kids play and couples walk hand in hand. Then a woman her age, knitting on a bench, smiled and said, Beautiful morning, isn't it? Eleanor nodded and smiled back. That one simple exchange became the seed of something beautiful. Friendship. Doctors don't talk enough about friendship as medicine, but it truly is. A Harvard study, the longest of its kind, found that relationships, not wealth or fame, are the strongest predictors of long life and happiness. Loneliness kills as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But connection, it rewires the brain, lifts blood pressure, slows memory decline. So if you're living alone, your best investment isn't another supplement. It's community. Maybe you've been hurt. Maybe you trusted someone who disappeared when you needed them most. Or maybe you're just tired of trying, tired of disappointment. But connection doesn't mean depending on everyone. It means allowing someone in again, slowly, gently. Start with kindness. Smile at the cashier. Compliment a stranger. Attend that senior center event. Even if you feel nervous, every hello is a door. And behind one of those doors, there's a friend waiting you haven't met yet. Let's be real. After 70, the silence in a home can be deafening. You hear the ticking of the clock, the refrigerator hum, the echo of your own thoughts. Doctors won't tell you how dangerous that silence can be. Not just for your mind, but for your heart. When you stop speaking, your emotional world starts to shrink. When you stop listening, your brain begins to dull. When you stop laughing, your soul starts to dim. That's why conversation is not a luxury. It's survival. Eleanor didn't realize this until the day she lost her balance in her kitchen. She slipped, hit her hip, and stayed on the floor for nearly an hour before managing to crawl to the phone. At the hospital, the doctor said, "You were lucky, Mrs. Eleanor. You could have fractured your hip." But what haunted her wasn't the fall. It was the realization that no one would have known. No one would have checked until days later. That moment changed her. She realized, living alone doesn't have to mean living disconnected. She bought a smart speaker. She joined an online group for widows. She started volunteering twice a week at a local food pantry. And suddenly, her days weren't empty anymore. There were calls, laughter, even inside jokes again. She began to feel like herself, alive again. This is what doctors don't emphasize enough. Your environment matters as much as your medicine. Fill your space with reminders of life. Keep plants. Play music that lifts your spirit. Keep family photos visible. And keep light coming in. Never sit in the dark for too long. Because darkness feeds loneliness. Light feeds hope. And to those watching who have aging parents or grandparents living alone, listen closely. When you call them, they won't always tell you the truth. They'll say, "I'm fine." But listen between the lines. When they pause longer than usual, when their tone sounds softer, or when they mention, "I haven't seen anyone this week," that's your cue. They're asking for presence without saying it out loud. Visit them. Don't just send money, send time. Your presence may be the medicine they've been praying for. Living alone after 70 doesn't have to be dangerous. It can be empowering if you choose connection over isolation. Because solitude can be sacred, but loneliness is poison, and the line between them is thin. You can turn your solitude into strength when you fill it with purpose. Eleanor now leads a small walking group for seniors in her neighborhood. She says, "Connection saved my life more than any prescription did." And she's right. No pill can replace purpose. No doctor can substitute human touch. No medicine can cure the ache of being unseen. Only love, faith, and connection can. So if you're watching this, remember, living alone doesn't mean living forgotten. Your story isn't over. It's being rewritten. Pick up the phone. Step outside. Find a reason, even a small one, to laugh again. And if you can't find one, create one. Start a morning ritual. Call an old friend. Sing again. Smile again. Because life after 70 is still life. Full of color, full of grace, full of new beginnings. Doctors may treat your symptoms, but only you can treat your silence. Let your heart speak again. Let your soul breathe again. And always remember, you are not alone. God still walks beside you. You're seen. You're valued. And you are deeply, deeply loved. If this spoke to your heart, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Your story might just save someone else's.